Oh, Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 2 has come and gone already, and man, I'm just not ready for what happens next.
No, boy, I know, man. The calm before the storm is just getting more and more palpable.
I feel like last night's episode was a sign off for several characters. You know what I mean? Like this was like their last good. Like you said, the first episode was like one last fun romp with everyone. Mm-hmm. This was kind of like some closure for a couple of characters, and then they're gonna die next episode.
You can really tell. I mean, the writers, you can tell they just don't want to let go of these characters, but they know they're going to have to. So
Brienne of Tarth is fighting on the front line from the previews of next week, and I'm not ready for that, man. That was and we're going to try and stay in order here. I've actually got like a little recap to follow to keep us in order of the events. But I do just want to say, I feel like Brienne's going to die, and I do not like it. When she got knighted, oh, man, that was just such a touching moment with her and Jaime.
I'm telling you, man, one thing that I want after this episode is a big old cup of Giant's milk. You know what I'm saying?
That was awesome. So before we begin, we're the Podcasting Dead. We normally talk about The Walking Dead. That's not the focal point of our channel. We podcast about lots of different things. But we started out talking just about The Walking Dead, and we still do, but we're fans of lots of other stuff. So now, being this is the last season of Game of Thrones, we're like, there's no way we can't talk about this.
No, man.
We had to jump in for the last 6 episodes, but my name is Justin.
And I'm JP.
And stick around at the end of the podcast. If you enjoy what we have to talk about, you can follow us on social media. If not, then you probably won't make it to that point. But either way, thank you so much for coming and hanging out. So let's talk about Game of Thrones, man. How about that beginning scene with Daenerys and Jaime and Sansa and Brienne? That was a tense scene, man, when Jaime comes to Winter. Jaime's at Winterfell and he's talking to Daenerys.
Yeah, man. Well, all I was focused on is what he had done to Brandon Stark, like his sins against the Stark family. I wasn't even thinking about he had killed Dany's father. You know what I'm saying?
And it's like I was watching the after they don't have like the Talking Dead with Game of Thrones, but they'll do these little things where it shows like inside the episode, and they were doing one where they were talking about Daenerys accepts and knows that her father was crazy and all of these things, but even still, it's never cool to look at your you never are comfortable hanging out with your father's killer. Oh, and I didn't say it in the beginning. I should say it now. Spoiler alert. But I mean, in the title, it says review and discussion. Yeah. So I mean,
what do you expect?
It's a spoiler filled. So warning. But yeah, so she definitely Daenerys is getting. I've read a fan theory where it's like she's actually the villain the whole show. You know what I mean? Because you follow her so closely, it's kind of you feel close to her or whatever. But in reality, she could be like the true villain.
I think she has the potential for evil, but I mean, that's any character just about.
That's where I differed from that theory because, she's done some things to show compassion and show that she's a just ruler, but she is power hungry, man.
Yeah, I mean, she's the breaker of chains. She's got a wholesome heart, but yeah, she is. She does want that power. I mean, we saw that scene in the crypt, which I guess we're going to get to.
Yeah, and then I felt so bad when she called Tyrion out too, and Tyrion stepped up and tried to defend him or whatnot. And I mean, she knows he's highly intelligent, but he's failed her a couple of times, and she's just losing her patience.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, should they not have at least went to King's Landing and appealed to Cersei? I mean, they knew it wasn't a sure thing, but. I mean, you've got to at least try. You've got to at least tell him what's coming.
I feel like if anything else to cover himself as insurance, Tyrion should have said, now, I can't promise that she's going to keep her word, but this is what we're going to try to do. And then at the end of the day, if she didn't show up, it's like, well, hey, I wasn't wrong. I didn't trust her. But it's such a tough place to be for Tyrion, too. I mean, imagine that, like a war with your family. And it's a tough place to be, man. Family's a weird thing.
Yeah, it can.
Especially in the Game of Thrones world.
Yeah, because sometimes you be up in your family.
Yeah,
getting all up in your family.
Yeah,
all up and down that family tree, baby. Woo.
But and so I like that we had Jorah come to Daenerys to kind of appeal to her, like, look, I get it. I get why you're mad at him, but you've forgiven me, and I've done some shady stuff. So, I mean, God, he was there pretty much as an inside agent in the beginning, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to stay in order, but the recap I thought I had wasn't much of a recap. It started at the beginning, and then so now I'm kind of...
Well, man, I tell you, one of my favorite scenes, obviously, was the powwow around the fireplace, man.
That was great. That was one of the best parts of the episode.
Oh, yeah, dude. And like, I mean, just... It was basically a battle for the butt for winning over Brienne of Tarth. You know what I'm saying?
With all Tormund's stories and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Tormund was just trying to win her over with his machismo and drinking all that beer at one time. Just, he's kind of like a typical frat dude, He's braggadocious. He's drinking all his booze. But, I mean... Jaime's like that grad student. He's a little bit more matured, more sophisticated.
Right.
And I mean, look, Tormund can't. I mean, he can't knight her. So I mean, I think Jaime won the battle of the butt.
Yeah,
and then the battle of the bastards, the battle of Black Bay. Last night was the battle of the butt.
The battle of the butt. I hope that goes down in Game of Thrones history.
Yeah, I think Jaime won Brienne's butt. But time will tell. That butt might be a
pun intended.
Right.
But time will tell.
Yep.
And then we get so I guess we're not going to be able to stay in order the way I wanted to just because of the fact that it's all over the place. But anyways, so we will jump around a little bit because I thought I could find a recap just to kind of remember the order of operations here. But anyways, so did you like Arya's meeting with the Hound up on the wall?
Yeah, man, that was great, and she really didn't have much to say. But
yeah, I really liked how he tells dude, he's like, man, after being brought back 19 times or whatever, the Lord of Light's going to be really disappointed for it all to have been nothing when I toss your ass off this wall.
Oh, yeah. And it's great because, I mean, the Hound's seen what he can do, I mean, he knows it's not just a big bowl of, nonsense, but he's still like, man, I ain't trying to hear that.
and the Hound's seen into the fire, too, so.
Oh, yeah.
It's, I don't know. I want the Hound in Mountain Showdown. A lot of people want that. And if the White Walkers are about to do you think Winterfell's going to fall?
Yeah, I mean, it's not looking good. I definitely don't think, the Night King's just going to fall into their little trap so easily. That's for sure. I mean,
leaving Bran, Bran's plan to draw him out with himself.
It's hard to say, man, because, I mean, they've got to make room for whatever's going to happen between the Lannisters and, whoever's left after this. I don't know, man. It could go many, many different ways.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Like, I know they said that, the battle scene for Winterfell is going to be like a 45-minute battle. It's going to be huge, like biggest ever filmed or something. And I think next week's episode is extremely. The last two, have only been an hour apiece, basically. And I think 3 is going to be like double time or really long. So, I mean, half the episode's going to be a freaking battle. But, yeah, we definitely are going to have to. Somehow, it's just going to be interesting to see because you got to think there's only 4 episodes left. And in that 4 episodes, we've got to get down with the White Walkers and somehow get to the Cersei Lannister deal and not feel rushed. And I don't know. I mean, it's interesting to see how they're going to play it out. You think Cersei and them might show up like Knights of the Vale? Which then again, they'd be useless though, right? They don't have any dragon glass and they don't have a lot of Valyrian steel. So I imagine they would just like ride in to try and help. I mean, I don't think Cersei would help out of the goodness of her heart either. I mean, it would be some kind of, strategy to it. But they just ride in to help, but then all the White Walkers just slaughter the hell out of them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know.
We got to finally see Arya's weapon. It looked like a double-sided bow staff, which is interesting because some people do think that Arya's dead. They think the Wraith is wearing like her face or whatever, which I don't believe that. But it was interesting because, the Wraith from the beginning, and I know Arya got, efficient with them, but she used a bow staff or whatever. And that's what Arya got was a double dragon glass-edged bow staff. That's pretty badass.
Yeah, man. I don't know if I subscribe to that, but
I don't. I think she's Arya. I mean, unless she's, unless I don't think. I think she's Arya, but a lot of people think she's not. A lot of people think when that candle went out that she died. But I mean, it was the Wraith's face up on the wall. You know what I mean? Like we saw her face cut off and on the wall. So
yeah, and I don't think the Wraith could have pulled off side boob that good.
What if it's like at the end she pulls her mask off and it's Ned Stark?
Oh jeez.
Oh my God! Then and then Robert Baratheon's his bastard is just like, oh
yeah.
How did you copy the whole body? But no, I definitely think it's Arya. But so we got to see her weapon. which is pretty badass. And she got to see someone else's weapon.
Yeah, man. She definitely, I don't know if she'll get stabbed to death by the White Walkers, but she definitely got a stabbing before they made it there.
It was such a I don't know. I felt so wrong watching it because when we started, Arya was just like an 11-year-old little girl, and she was so little, and and I mean, it's true though. I'm not saying they shouldn't have done it. I mean, it definitely. Right. I mean, again, and it's an interesting place because we've never seen Arya really with that much romantic involvement. I mean, we've seen maybe like little crushes, but she's never really had any kind of love story. And then, she's just kind of like, look, I might die tomorrow, man. I ain't trying to die a virgin.
Yeah, man. I mean, as a known degenerate, yes, I chubbed up during that scene, but.
Well, she's 22 in real life, so you're okay.
Yeah, but before she really got naked and you're really like, damn, there's a body under there. Just her face is still so similar to that little girl.
Her hair wasn't pulled back and just kind of out like it was. Right, yeah. She'd still look like that little girl.
Before you saw what she was, packing under the, her, whatever she's wearing, I was a little, oh boy, it's getting a little saucy. I'm definitely going to get down to this, but I'm going to feel really weird about it. But whatever, man.
Whatever.
Definitely not there were a lot of weird encounters this episode. I mean, Brandon Stark and Jaime Lannister finally having to sit. Well, Jaime didn't sit down. Obviously, Brandon was sitting down. But
yeah, it's kind of all he can do right now.
Yeah, but yeah, man, I liked. He apologized and he said, I'm not the man I was. And Brandon was like, well, I'm not either. But you wouldn't be the man you are now if you hadn't pushed me out that window.
It's crazy. I think that's kind of like what started it. I mean, really, Littlefinger is kind of what started everything. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's arguable. I know everybody will be like, no, actually, if you go back to blah, 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 blah. Yeah. But, I mean, essentially all of this beef and drama and all of this kind of started with Bran being pushed out of a window and, Littlefinger being Littlefinger.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, though, what do you think he meant by that? Like, you wouldn't be, who you are now if you hadn't pushed me out that window.
Just because of the series. I took it as just like, the series of events that kicked in and all of the things that he's been through have changed him. And
yeah, that's true.
It's kind of like the butterfly effect. Like, if you wouldn't have pushed me out the window, or even if I wouldn't have seen you in the window, we'd be having an entirely different conversation right now.
Right. And I mean, think about it. If he hadn't have pushed him out the window and he had to just climb back down, he would have told his father. And Robert Baratheon wouldn't be a man at all. He'd be a head on a pike somewhere. Mm-hmm. So it's I don't know, man. You just, like you said, you think about the domino effect. If this event had to change just the slightest,
mm-hmm. Like a parallel universe where everything is similar, but it's also very different.
It's like Brianna Tarth told Sansa. I mean, you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Jaime Lannister. I would have got raped and probably killed. And I wouldn't have been able to protect you back to, the whole thing.
A very tense meeting, too, with Daenerys and Sansa. Everything looked like it was going hunky-dory until she's like, what about the North? Mm-hmm. And then Daenerys pulls that hand back. I think I'm really anxious to see where Daenerys is going, man, because not only does she have that, she realizes that the North does not want to bend the knee to her command. Mm-hmm. They want sovereignty, basically. Like, they want to be their own thing because their home was stolen from them. They stole it back, and then just to turn around and be ruled. They don't want to do that, and that's not part of her plan. Right. She wants to rule everyone pretty much.
Kingdoms, yeah.
And so, you've got that on her mind, and then you've got the tear. I mean, right now the stress is just eating Daenerys alive. She's got that going on. She's pissed at Tyrion. She's had to face the guy who killed her father, and then Jon Snow drops a bombshell on her, like, surprise, you're my aunt. Yeah, and I'm technically the rightful heir to the throne. And I hate that he didn't get a chance because I feel like her mind would have been a little bit more at ease had he have just been like, you can have the throne. Like, I don't want it.
And, I was waiting for him to say that. Like, I don't care anything about the Iron Throne or being a Targaryen. But, I mean, he doesn't say that. I mean, you kind of, I know they were interrupted by the coming battle, but, would he have said that?
You kind of feel like he was thinking, like, yeah, I am the next heir to the throne. Because, I mean, if he could have just said that and been like, look, we'll keep this our secret, whatever, I just could not tell you. Because, I mean, I feel like the reason why he told her was definitely because, she's sitting in the crypts and she's talking about how she just couldn't believe that her brother was a rapist when everyone had said how kind of a man he was. And then, I feel like that was kind of Jon Snow being Jon Snow. Well, like, look, I don't want her thinking that of her brother because he wasn't. He was a decent guy. And
honor bound to tell the truth.
So, but bad timing, man, because now they both are going to go mount up on those dragons. And here's something interesting, too. Tell me now, again, I should have said this in the beginning, but for those diehard Game of Throners, man, like, we love the show. We've watched it. I've watched the whole show about 3 times. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, that's been over years and years. But we're not experts. We're not your one-stop shop. We have very demanding, busy lives. And, we watch it and we discuss it. This is more like talking about it at a bar with your friends. But so you notice all those White Walkers we see at the end all looked alike. Do you think those were like the babies that he made in his image?
Think about it.
Because they all looked a lot alike. They all had the long hair. They all looked identical. Do you think those were the babies he was, he had that deal with where he was taking them and he would touch them and turn them into White Walkers?
I mean, it would certainly make sense.
Because they're like full-bodied. Half the army is bone and skin, whereas they're like full-bodied White Walkers.
Yeah, man. Can you imagine that? Like the White Walker daycare. I mean,
I hope they grew up like quick, like that day. Can you just imagine them taking care of the babies?
Yeah, dude. I don't know.
They don't even really talk, so it's just like
nursing on some old frozen titties. Oh man,
frozen giant titties. Yeah, because they have the giant, right?
I guess
they have the giant. Yeah. Oh, man, that's...
I mean, I guess a lot of giants have died over the years, so they got a whole bunch of giants, probably.
I mean, if they've been pulling every dead body between them and, then, damn, they've got half the freaking planet, it feels like.
I'm telling you, man, it's crazy.
What about Samwell Tarly talking to Jorah? He gives him that sword, which is Valyrian steel.
Yeah, so now Mormont's, all Valyrian'd up. News for him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's ready to go. But that was a good little. And I tried. Did he say? What did he say? The name of the sword was like. We rewound it like 3 times. And I couldn't quite tell what he was like.
I thought it was Wolfsbane. Wolfsbane.
Is that what it was?
I could be wrong. I get stuff.
Wolfsbane. It was something Bane or Pain, but I could not understand it. And we sat and rewound it like 3 times and
really
could not. You gonna look it up?
Yeah, that's what I thought he said.
And you might be right. Like I couldn't. I know they might have said it before, but that's just like a little detail that slipped under my radar. And I'm like, I don't forgot what the name of the sword was, and the diehards are going to kill us for not knowing the the name of the sword. Right. But yeah, and interesting. He's not going into the crypts, but he had a good point, man. I loved when they were up on the wall, and he's guys like Samwell Tarly, White Walker Slayer, lover of women. Blah, 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 blah. And he's like, it is the end of the world.
Yeah. Yeah, man. There's a lot of good banter this episode. A lot of good banter.
I'm seeing here on Thrillist, they called this more of like a filler episode. But I'm like, I don't think it's filler. I definitely don't think I think that they're just trying to bring some closure to some of these characters because they're about to wipe out half these people.
Yeah, man.
And I'm sure some of it won't be all drawn out and dramatic. Like you might see someone like, I don't know, Podrick, isn't that his name? Her old squire. He was a squire.
Right, yeah.
Like you might just see him like there's no drawn out anything. Like he might just get stabbed and fall over and get turned into a White Walker. So I feel like they're trying to give you some closure now when they just start slaughtering characters next episode.
Yeah, man. I mean, it does suck because you definitely want it more when it ended, and you definitely knew that it was going to end, just... The battle's on top of us, but it's not going to happen for another week, so it did leave you wanting more.
Yeah, Brad called that at the beginning. He said, man, I bet you at the end of the episode we're going to see the White Walkers show up, and that's going to be how it ends. But damn if it didn't.
I mean, I was still satisfied.
Oh, I've not had any complaint because I feel like after next week we're just going to be so blown away that we're just like, oh man, looking back on it, you're not going to complain at all. You're just like, oh man, I'm glad we had those moments.
It's Heartsbane.
Heartsbane.
That's the name of the sword.
Heartsbane, not pain. Heartsbane.
Heartsbane. Okay. Yeah. And Wolfsbane was used in the show. It was like a poison or something.
Okay.
Tywin Lannister. Wolfsbane is a lethal poison obtained from a plant of the same name. Darts dipped in it. Blah 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 blah.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, it was, it's next week's going to be so.
Yeah. You idiots. How do you not know what his sword was?
Oh, Game of Thrones fans, man, they are some of the most tenacious. Like, my God.
No, we can't really use the, we just woke up with the crack of dawn excuse this week because we kind of slept in for Easter Monday.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
But look, we deserve a little rest. Man, I had a crazy dream the other night. I don't want to get away from the episode. But...
Well, tell us this and then we'll get back to it.
Want to tell us what?
Tell us your dream.
No, I mean, just short and sweet. There's always been theories that Game of Thrones takes place in the future. It was basically about that. Just they kind of like at the end of Planet of the Apes, they, the characters find these ruins from our world, and it's like, oh man, that's the future.
That's a fan theory. Like some fans think that it's going to end up being not in the past, but this is out in the future.
Right.
Way into the future.
It wasn't like some big revelation from my subconscious. I know I've heard that theory, but it was a cool dream.
I feel like it's just set in an alternate universe. You know what I mean? Like back in the day. But I mean, that would be dope. Like they find a spaceship or something at the end.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe it's another planet. You know what I mean?
Well, I think I've read that it is Earth and something's happened to manipulate the seasons. And, I know we've got
maybe it's like a global warming thing, like, these long winters and stuff. I don't know.
Well, I know we've gotten into like lost civilizations on the Wednesday podcast, man. I mean, if human civilization goes back instead of tens of thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, I mean, there's climate stuff that could have happened that we didn't know about, civilizations with technology we didn't know about. I mean, I'm just saying, who knows?
It's always interesting to ponder on.
Carbon-based life has been on this planet for a long time, so who's to say what's happened? I don't know.
Yeah. Did you feel like your heart? What's the word I'm looking for? I can't think this morning. JP is right. We really can't use it being early, but I still just can't. I think it's because mentally I wanted to be off today. So like my mind's still not completely here. But did you feel like it right in your feels when Brienne got knighted?
Yeah, dude, that was powerful. It was, at first, I thought she was just going to be like, yeah, "Get out of here."
I thought she was going to be like, "I don't want to be knighted."
Right. I don't need. I'm badass enough on my own. I don't need your knighthood. But
right,
it's a lifelong dream, and Jaime is a man of honor. So, and plus, man, I think that butt's definitely in the bag for him now.
If I were Jaime before the battle, I would have been like, "All right, can you make me a dragon's glass fist or like a dragon's glass?" like spear to put on my nub here. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He's got like an open hand. I mean, he could backhand the hell out of somebody, but at the end of the day, that hand really isn't doing him any favors. I would have, number one, forget the White Walkers. I would have just had it made in the shape of a fist so that, once I learned to use my left hand for sword work, I'd have this iron fist I could just come right around with the right hook and, that would shatter some bones. But he definitely should have gotten like a Merle setup from The Walking Dead with like a dragon's glass spear or something on that.
Yeah, at first when they were down there making all the weapons, I thought someone threw we're throwing like dragon glass like hands or gloves, but I'm sure that was just me, seeing something that wasn't.
Could have been, happening. But I mean, he better hurry up and get outfitted, man.
I was gonna say there can't be enough like one-handed dudes in the in Winterfell to warrant making something like that.
I mean, they put in dragon's glass on everything.
Yeah, they are. They really are.
But I mean, of course, it's just like the battle's never going to go the way they think. This is going to be terrible. All right, I'm going to ask you a really hard question.
Oh boy, all right.
Really, really hard question. I need you to think and I need you to focus because I want to know your answers. Not all of them, obviously, but give me off the top of your head some death predictions.
Man, I don't have I've thought about it, man. I don't know who's going to live.
You think Grey Worm's going to die?
I don't know, man.
I mean, they were supposed to go to the beach. Do you think he's going to die and she'll go to the beach thinking of him? Or
I mean, you kind of think the guys who are talking the most about, these are our last hours are the ones who will survive, and the ones hopeful making plans for what happens after will be the ones who die.
But sometimes Game of Thrones doesn't write it in the traditional format. So,
I know somebody just threw out a internet thing, did you know such and such is supposed to die episode 2 or 3? And so that's all I could think about.
Who?
I'm not going to say it because I'm not the kind of person who says those things, but I mean, I don't know. But it really pissed me off.
Yeah, I hate when. So it was like a leak or something?
Yeah, I mean, a supposed leak. Like I said, I don't know that there's any. I don't know where it came from.
Was it a big character?
Oh yeah. And one from last episode that just given their dynamic and their storyline, you could definitely see it happening. But I just
see. I don't want to know, but now I want to know.
Yeah, man. But I hate it because, like I said, when there's even if it's whether it's a leak or a spoiler or even just a fan theory, it's all I can think about through the episode.
Well, after the podcast, I'm gonna get you to tell me. We won't spoil it on here for people, but I want to know.
I hate getting taken out of it like that,
because I've really abstained from reading anything Game of Thrones, and now I just shouldn't want to know this, but that's the thing. I know I'm gonna want to know. So if I see spoiler, blah, 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 I just scroll right on by it. You know what I mean? I've tried to watch no videos or read any articles for that. But now that you said that, I kind of want to know, especially if it could just be a fan theory. It'd be interesting to see. But so it's a big character. Is it a big shocker like someone you wouldn't think would die?
Oh, I mean, like I said, just at this point, I mean.
But I tell you what, Bran Stark better not die. I felt like he was going to play a much bigger part this season.
Yeah, dude.
Like walk into that dragon and then just like kamikaze that bad boy into the ground with the Night King on it.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's kind of cool. He's like the like the hard drive for all of human history now.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be really hard for Daenerys too, man. She loves her dragons. She loves them, and now she's about to go battle against one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, the Night King's riding up on her dragon all cool and cozy, and it's his, and she's going to have to kill it. I think that's going to really... That was so heartbreaking, man. Back in Season 7 when they killed that dragon, I'll never forget how heartbreaking that was. I was at the beach on vacation while the episodes were coming out, and we watched it, and I'm just like, oh, my God, I didn't expect to be that sad. I'm really scared next week's. I've never watched a show that's brought me to tears. I mean, got me in the feels, no doubt, and had me like, God, that's so sad. But I'm scared next week's episode's going to do it.
It's rough, man. It's rough.
I might not admit it, but I feel like it's going to happen.
Yeah. I think we're definitely going to have a face-to-face with Brandon Stark and the Night King. And like I said, I don't think they're going to get him that easily, but I think there is going to be a face-to-face.
And it's interesting as to why he wants to kill Bran, because he just wants to snuff out all light, and he knows that Bran he cunts down the three-eyed ravens because he knows, like you said, they're like the hard drive for human history. But
yeah,
I think Bran will die, but you got Samwell Tarly who will kind of be there to keep record of the battle and everything.
Yeah, man, it was interesting. He says so. That's what dying really is, just forgetting everything.
Right.
It really makes you.
It's like that old saying. What is it? They say the you die twice. Once when they bury you, and the second time's when the last time anyone ever mentioned your name, and then after that you really are dead and gone.
Yep.
Some depressing stuff.
Yeah, dude, it is definitely a heavy episode.
Wonder if Jon Snow, like you feel like you're going to expect to see him ride it out for the long haul, but I mean, he could be one they just kill next episode.
Oh, yeah, man. Like I said, that's why I don't even know who to predict would go. I mean, it'd just be based.
It's not
on
like The Walking Dead. It's a lot harder to get this.
Well, shoot, I was never that good at predicting deaths on there either. But
The Walking Dead made it easy for a while because basically, if an episode focused on one character, you knew, they're about to die. If it won't Rick.
But yeah, I'm telling you, man. I think we'll get more of like the Night King's motivations. I'm sure it'll be something like, I've seen so much war and human suffering is perpetual. The only way to have peace on Earth is to wipe out all human life. I'm sure it'll be, he has some kind of motivation like that. I mean,
how about Theon Greyjoy meeting up with Sansa? Because I mean, like the last time they saw each other, right? I mean, you got to think like he pretty much sacrificed himself for her. Mm-hmm. So it was just a very heartwarming. I think Theon's going to die. He's on my death watch.
Right.
I don't know about his sister, but I definitely think that.
Yeah, and she's going back to take back the Iron Islands, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the last stand will be the Iron Islands. Happening.
And he volunteers to guard Bran too. On top of that, that's why I was like, oh yeah, he's dead. Yeah. He's dead. He's going to stay with Bran. And I mean, it's a lot of things kind of came full circle this episode. You know.
Yeah, man, I could definitely see the survivors of Winterfell meeting up with like Cersei and Euron and who's left of the Iron Fleet at the Iron Islands. Kind
of as the last stand type thing.
Everything else has been decimated, and just the sole survivors, make their final stand at the Iron Islands, and the oceans freeze over.
Yeah, because I mean, with Theon, it's kind of like all of his loose ends are kind of tied up, so it's going to be a very tragic end. I feel like he's definitely going to die. Next episode. Okay, so I found a pretty good little wrap up here to kind of keep us back to make sure we don't miss anything. This is a lot to cover on these episodes, man.
I feel like we've nailed everything, but we probably haven't.
Well, I mean, it's just so much, going on. Let's see. Lana Mormont, I feel she's a little badass. She kind of reminds me of a younger Arya Stark. She's like, I'm not going in the damn crypts. Very mature little badass.
She's basically like the polar opposite of Joffrey.
Yeah, very true. She's got honor and she's brave and she's fair as far as we know, whereas Joffrey was just a piece of shit. Excuse my language. All right, so let's see. I'm looking on Thrillist, and I'm going to name It says Winterfell or other people who might die. Now, these are predictions. These are not leaks or spoilers.
Man,
but let's
step outside. I don't want to hear them, man.
Cover your ear. Well, hold on. Let me read through this.
Because it's all I'm going to dwell on next episode.
You entertain it. You entertain them, and I'm just going to read it to myself because I really want to know. I want to see what they think. Because a lot of times these things are super wrong. I mean, The Walking Dead. Spoiler, if you have not caught up with The Walking Dead, then do not listen to this next part.
It's all I'm going to be thinking about.
Everybody said that,
the episode.
They got the head pike thing super wrong, on The Walking Dead this season. Yeah. And so, I mean, a lot of times these articles are wrong. But
I'll fix another bowl of oatmeal. You read that.
No, you entertain them. I'm not going to read it out loud because if people want to do that, I guess they could. I
hate that stuff. I hate it. I can't focus on anything. I'll probably drive off the road later. Just think, oh my God, they think Theon's going to die.
Yep, I will. I'm definitely going to. I'm going to read this when we get done just to see what they think. Mm-hmm. No, my God, it's a lot of people going to. Is that your stomach?
Dude. Yeah, it was.
Are you hungry? You just ate a big old bowl?
I don't know. It was like I don't know what that was.
Must be like digesting is what it is.
Yeah, it was completely internal. Nothing came out.
But I'm trying to think, man, if there's anything else. Let me scan through here and see. Because like I said, it's so hard to. I wish we had time to watch these episodes like 3 or 4 times a piece and then podcast about them when you know them inside and out. I started
to watch it again last night, but I didn't. So. But it was a good episode.
Yeah, because Theon's sister Yara, she wanted to keep the Iron Islands originally themselves, like not part of Daenerys' kingdom. But I guess now that Theon has told her, to make last stand in your name,
right?
Kind of brings that around. But let's see. I like how they kind of made fun of it. It was a couple of more funny moments in this one, too. I like when she's like, she was talking about probably Khal Drogo, right? When she was talking about one honest man or one man that keeps his word or whatever.
It was taller.
She's like, who was it or whatever. She's like, he was a lot taller. Oh, Theon's going to probably die. And that's going to be sad. That's going to be sad. But, so I don't know, man. If Arya dies, that's going to be like I don't want Arya to die. I think I've decided here, in the last year or two, she's my favorite character. I mean, it's hard to pick a favorite in a show like this. I mean, there's so many, but there. I mean, she's so freaking awesome. Which we get to see how badass she is at throwing stuff, too. I mean, she's just become, quite...
she's a master assassin.
Oh, man, sorry. I'm just making sure.
Nah, man, I think we've rounded it out about as well as we can round it out.
I think Gendry's going to die. I think. I don't know, man. I don't like it.
I'm trying not to even think about Game of Thrones until next Sunday.
Let us know in the comment section what you think. JP might not read them, but I will. Let us know what you think. Please no leaks, though. I mean, if it's a confirmed leak, like The Walking, I don't want to know. It's confirmed this person's going to die. I just like to hear fan theories because it's cool to see how people can read clues and
I hate them.
Figure things out. But so we'll be back. Next week, before we go, social media info. Follow JP on Periscope. JP Slim, all lowercase.
That's the one.
No spaces, no nothing. Just JP Slim. You can find him on Periscope. You can find me on Instagram, Snapchat, and Periscope. I'm Justin Lloyd. All lowercase, no apostrophes. Just I'm Justin Lloyd. 2 L's in Lloyd. And, we'll see you. Technically, if you like the podcast, hit the subscribe button. Come back tomorrow. Tomorrow's current events where we talk about things happening in the world. And... then we've got a podcast on Wednesday and Thursday, but we'll see. If you're only here for the Game of Thrones, we will catch you next Monday for episode 3. I'm Justin.
And I'm JP.
And we are we're the Podcasting Dead.
Mm-hmm.